Very pleased to have with us former Casey Anthony prosecutor, retired prosecutor Jeff Ashton. Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time in this interview. You're in New York this morning. I want to ask you first, we've been taking comments from people on our website. I've got a list of 12 pages of questions that people want to know things from you. And the first one of the themes that kind of recurs here is that a lot of people find profiting from this case to be distasteful. So I'd like to ask your opinion about if you have any plans to donate any profits from the book.
Well, what happens with my personal finances, like anybody else's, is private information.
Okay, so we won't be discussing that at all.
That's correct.
Okay. Another question I have involves the psychological report of Casey Anthony. We know that you discuss that a lot in the book, and I wonder how you are able to talk about that without the fear of sanctions, in that those reports are sealed under order from Judge Perry. So I'm wondering how you're able to talk about that.
Sure. The depositions of the experts in question were initially sealed by Judge Perry during the pretrial stages of the case, out of concern that the allegations were just so sensational that they would be make it difficult for us to get a fair and impartial jury. The judge made clear at the time, though, that our recollections of those reports and the depositions were not sealed. In fact, that issue came up when we wanted to let Cindy and George know about what was being claimed. So it was very clear that our recollections, our notes of those conversations were not sealed or restricted in any way. And I made it clear in the book that everything that I was talking about the reports and the depositions was from my recollection and my notes, because those depositions are still sealed, though the justification for the sealing probably doesn't really apply anymore, but they are still sealed, and I have great respect for the judge's order, and which is why I've been very careful not to run afoul of it.
This may be a very sensitive area, Jeff, but I'd like to know when this book deal first came on the table and whether or not you had an agreement with State Attorney Lawson Lamar to absolve you of any conflict that may have arisen out of the result of you having this book deal and still prosecuting the case, if the deal came up during or before the case.
No, there was nothing about the book deal before the case was over. My decision to write the book and everything about it was after the verdict. It had nothing was done before the verdict.
Are you planning on running for state attorney?
That is not an issue that relates to the book, and for right now, I'm just talking about the book, and the future will be discussed in the future.
Fair enough. You talk a lot in the book about very sensitive and emotional areas. George Anthony's reaction to what the defense was going to be. You talk very poignantly about standing over Kaylee's remains on the autopsy table. You talk about Casey Anthony's psychological report. I'm wondering why you don't get more into the discussions with Lawson Lamar and the other members of the team about why the death penalty was put back on the table.
Those discussions I have with Lawson, I'm in the role of advising him in a decision, a very important decision that he has to make. And I feel very strongly that my discussions with him as my employer are his to either reveal or not reveal. And so I felt very strongly that those discussions, what I said to him, what he said to me, his thought processes were his to either reveal or not, and I respect that a great deal.
You carry your emotions on your sleeve. It's pretty easy to tell what you're thinking and watching you in court. Do you think that emotion hurt you at all?
I don't think so. I don't think this jury decided this case based upon any attorney's emotions one way or the other. So no, I don't think it made a difference at all.
You go after Jose Baez pretty hard, and the choices he made and the people that he brought on board. I think what you said about Leonard Padilla was one of the funniest things that I read in the book. But I want to see if I could kind of get you off of that real quick. And obviously you didn't have good things to say about Baez. Do you have any good things to say about him? Do you give him any credit?
Well, I did. Actually, in the book, I noted a number of things that I thought he did well. I thought that his allegiance to his client was to his credit. I thought that his passion was very, very compelling. I thought that his cross-examination of George Anthony was very good. So there are a number of things I thought he did well, and I actually compliment him on his post-trial statements. I thought they were very, very classy. I mean, I tried to be as honest as I could, not only in expressing my personal bias, because anytime you hear from somebody, you need to know where they're coming from. And I tried to credit Jose with the things he did well, to talk about the things he didn't do well, and to talk about some ethical issues that I thought were questionable.
Why wasn't Cindy Anthony charged with perjury?
You'd have to ask the state attorney that. That decision was made after I had already left the office, so I couldn't really respond to that.
I also talked to Anthony family attorney Mark Lippman. Would it surprise you to know that the Anthonys are reading your book right now?
No, it wouldn't surprise me to learn that. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I want to talk for a second about you referring to Tropical Storm Faye as Casey's guardian angel. Can you talk about that for a minute?
Well, yeah, I don't think I referred to the storm as a guardian angel, but I did refer to the storm and the fact that, you know, it does almost seem that sometimes bad people have a guardian angel. I mean, the fact of Tropical Storm Faye really delayed the finding of, along with a lot of other factors, the finding of Kaylee's body by many, many months. You know, had it not been for that deluge that came right there in that late August period, I believe that there's a good likelihood that she would have been found in late August rather than in December. So that's one of many things that you know, helped Casey in this case.
Two more quick questions for you, Jeff, because I just have a little bit of time left. You've joined a law office in Maitland. You'll specialize in death penalty and forensic areas. I want to know, moving forward in your career now as a defense attorney, whether you would ever use Arpad Voss or Stephen Shaw in their science in court again.
Absolutely. My association with the firm of Traum and Walsh is an of-counsel relationship. It's sort of a part-time employment. It's not really a full-time thing. But I am available to do some defense work. I have a client now. And yes, I think that scientific evidence is valuable to use on either side. You know, science doesn't favor one side or the other. It is what it is, and that's the beauty of pure science.
Jeff, last thing, I heard you say last night that you could see Ben Stein playing your character in a movie. I'm going to need you to do better than that.
That would not be my preference. No insult to Mr. Stein, but I'll leave other people to speculate on who would play me, because
how about Sam Waterston?
I'd hate to insult any actor by suggesting that they resemble me in any way.
All right, Jeff Ashton, retired prosecutor from the Casey Anthony case. Jeff, we certainly appreciate you taking the time. Best of luck with the book and best of luck with your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.